Hey guys, Alex from House of Bikes. This is the Eunorau Fat HS, and today we are going to unbox it and assemble it. I'm going to walk you guys step by step. You're going to need some basic tools. Usually tools come in the box, but we're not sure what's actually going to come in the box today. But one thing that's for sure is there's a lot of zip ties in there. So you're going to want a set of clippers, a 15mm wrench or a pedal wrench, and usually having a 4 or 5mm Allen key will help do the job. So I think we're good to go. Let's do it. Okay, so let's start with this box here. Let's see what's in this box. I have a feeling we have a charger in this box. Indeed, that seems to be our charger. And what else is in the box? We got a user manual. We got a user manual for the shock as well. That's pretty cool. And here's a triangle Allen key set, a 15mm wrench, and the little screw and nut for the headlight. This is why you need a set of clippers. Look how beefy these zip ties are. Your first mission up in here is to get rid of enough zip ties so that you can pull the front wheel out. Here she is. Let's put the front wheel aside and deal with more of the packaging. So quick note here, your stem is backwards mounted on the frame. It's actually pretty easy to flip it around so that it faces the front of the bike while the bike's in the box, because it's really nice and stabilized. But in this case, for the sake of showing you guys, we're going to pull the bike out and we'll rotate the stem outside of its box. But when you guys do this, if you want to, it might be a little bit easier to do it inside. Cool, most of the packaging's out of the way, so I think we're ready to pull the bike out. Alright, so this is the part where we need to rotate our stem. So you could have done this inside the big box, but obviously for the sake of showing you, we're going to do it here. There's a little cap that keeps the dust away. And you want to undo your pinch bolts a little. Looks like we have to loosen up our top screw as well. And now we're able to rotate our stem. Now tighten up the top bolt again. Not too tight, just kind of approximately how it was. We'll figure out the full tightening later when we go over all the bolts on the bike. So I'll just do the same thing for the pinch bolts. Next part is we're going to line up the handlebar on the stem. So I just want to get rid of these little screws. They are 4mm. The display has 3mm screws. They are almost loose enough to rotate it. So once we got our handlebar centered in here, put the display nicely centered too. Once you got your handlebar nice and centered, it's time to put the cap back on. Just start these screws with your fingers first, and we'll tighten them after. So this is our headlight that is packaged up with some bubble wrap. Just gotta unwind it from how it's packaged. So pretty straightforward here. You start putting your screw through the bracket into the fork, and then put the washer out back, and finally the nut. Alright, so headlights on. Now we're going to remove the spacer from our brake caliper, and space here comes out. Now it's time to mount our wheel. So the skewer quick release is actually tied up on the spoke of your front wheel, and there's a cap here We'll pull that out. There's also a cap out here. And one thing you can do is actually put your quick release on the wheel already, just very, very loosely, but it'll make it easier to secure the wheel once it's inside the fork. You put your cone spring, and then this little guy, and now we're ready to put the wheel in the fork. Just like so, and tighten up and latch up the quick release on the other side. Now our front wheel's on, and I believe this means we can put the kickstand down to support the bike. Et voila. Alright, one more big zip tie here. Look at the size of these zip ties. Alright, now it's time to get a key so we can unlock our battery and charge it while we complete the assembly. So that's your key slot. This is to unlock it. Then there's a latch here. And it releases the battery that you pull out like so. And as you can see, it's mounted on this plate as well. Cool, so with the battery on the charger, let's get our seat installed. And I also like to put a little bit of lubrication on the seat, which is going to prevent our seat post from seizing up inside the seat tube. Alright, I'm going to pivot the bike your way, and we're going to do some tightening on the bolts here. Starting with the headset. We don't want our headset to be too tight nor too loose. So first, loosen the pinch bolts. And then give a little quarter turn on the top bolt. Yeah, that looks good to me. And then retighten your pinch bolts. Cool. We're looking good there. Now we want to finalize the position of these handlebars. And they look pretty good. They're pretty centered. Maybe get these guys up a bit. And then once you have your final spot, just want to make sure it's centered out front here. There's a little icon at the center of this thing. So if you line it up in the hole for the cap, then you know you're centered. And now it's time to tighten up these bolts for once and for all. So if you remember earlier, we loosened up the display so we could have access to our bolts. Now we want to retighten it. All right, let's make sure our controls are nice and tight. So that's your brake lever, your shifter. So let's start checking all the bolts one by one. It's not a bad idea to do this. It might be a bit overcautious, but you want to do it at least the first time you're putting the bike together. Make sure there's gonna be no nasty surprises in the middle of a ride. We just want to check this brake caliper. Usually it's a 5mm. Caliper's on nice and snug. Kickstand's on nice and good too. And let's check the rear brake caliper. All right, we got everything tight. And this is our little rear taillight. Time to put some pedals on this bike. So I'm going to start with the left side pedal here. This one threads differently from how you usually thread something on. So you're going to thread it counterclockwise on the left side. It's one of the few times you're going to thread something going counterclockwise, but life's backwards sometimes. And let's do our right side as well. And this one is like the regular way. Okay, our bike's looking good here, guys. Time to get the battery mounted back up in there. All right, once your battery is fully charged, you want to mount it back on the bike. It's got the plate, right? You want to line up the plate on the battery, like so. And then start from the bottom. And last but not least, we're gonna put some air in the tires. So these are Kenda fat tires. They're rated for 5 to 30 psi. So we're gonna go just over 20. You can kind of adjust that to your preference. If you want better rolling speed, you can go as high as 30. But sometimes if you want that extra cushion and grip on the trails, you can go like 20 psi. So it's time to turn this bike on here. There's a little power button. Lights up our display. I don't know if that's visible, but there's our display. And you have a throttle control on the left here. So let's give it a test. Look at that. Eunorau Fat HS, guys. This is a pretty burly mountain bike in this category. You definitely get a higher end suspension with this coil shock in the back. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's downhill ready, but it's definitely a cushy ride that can hit the trails. It's a powerful bike as well. It's got that Bafang 1000-watt mid-drive motor. So that's also a cut above the other mountain bikes you would find at this price point. This particular bike's available in 2 frame sizes. We're looking at the medium here, but there's also a large, and you can even get a second battery mounted here for extra range. And besides that, yeah, that's the Eunorau Fat HS. If you'd like to purchase one of these bikes, of course, we'd love to earn your business. Check them out at www.houseofbikes.com. If you like our content, please consider subscribing. Drop a comment below if you have any questions. Thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you next time.